Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 53 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choate. What's up? So this week something that I love is a ripe banana. I feel like I never eat the banana at the right time. Lots of brown spots, but still firm. That's the best time. But sometimes I need to eat a banana when the banana's not ready. Anyway, for more about this podcast, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And the Instagram handle is People We Love Podcast. And you can find me on Instagram as well, Adam Choate, my name. And remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes are greatly appreciated as well. So, today's guest is stand-up comedian Sean Hyatt. Originally from Titusville, Florida, Sean tells me of his childhood and teen life as a video game playing, tuba playing science nerd. And although it was at the University of Central Florida where Sean first discovered doing stand-up comedy, it was in high school when Sean repeatedly listened to the comedy of one fellow Titusville native. That's Daniel Tosh. We talk religion, we talk stand-up, we talk bullying sisters. Let's just get into it. Here's Sean Hyatt. So it's good to see you today, Sean Hyatt. Thanks for dropping by the studio.
Hey, Adam, what's up? How are you?
I appreciate it.
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. How's your day going?
It's good. I did literally nothing.
You did literally nothing? That's good.
Wait, no, I picked up a rhino tool from the airport.
A what?
A rhino tool.
Oh, your friend.
Yeah.
Your friend.
Do you know Ryan?
I do.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
This whole podcast is about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about Ryan's life.
You can, if he's the person you love who inspires you.
No, I'm going to do...
He's one of them.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Only talk about his life. And
Yeah.
then he's going to come on and only talk about my life.
We could do that.
No, don't do
That might be fun.
I don't want to speak for Ryan.
Back-to-back episodes.
Dude.
I'll have to schedule something like that at some point.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
How was the traffic out there going to the airport?
It wasn't that bad. No. Yeah. What is it? I picked up a friend over the holidays, and it took me, after getting off the freeway, it took me an hour to get to the airport, which is
From?
like getting off the freeway to a terminal took me an hour. It was so bad.
Going through LAX.
Dude,
Yeah, that's
insane.
a nightmare.
Yeah.
You just have to breathe. Podcast. Or I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Traffic's fine. I don't, it's like you almost die all the time anyways.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make a difference if you're going to the grocery store or going to LAX.
You know the comedian, Justin James?
Yeah, I know Justin.
Yeah, I saw him last night. He does a funny bit where he kind of does plays on like tropes and comedy, and he's like, what's with this traffic? It's crazy out there. You'll get there when you get there.
Yeah.
he delivered it better than I did. But
Dude, that's a very good. No, that's a pretty good Justin James.
Yeah,
delivery.
he's setting it up like he's going to do this long bit about complaining about traffic, and he's like, "I'll get there when you get there.
Yeah.
It'll be there when you get there."
Yeah, Justin's also a really nice guy. Yeah,
for sure. So why don't we get into it? Why don't you tell me about your life, and we'll start from the hospital when you were born and the drive home, and tell me about what you remember about that, if anything.
I don't remember much. I was born in Orlando, Florida. At the Arnold Palmer Hospital. He's known for a hospital and sweet tea. But yeah, the Arnold Palmer, and then it was 92. And then I grew up in a city called Titusville, Florida. So
what's that near Titusville?
Titusville is an hour outside of Orlando, and it's on the Space Coast. So everyone, like my dad worked like on shuttles, like space shuttles and stuff like that. Cape Canaveral.
I remember.
Yeah,
I've been down there. It's been many years, but
what'd you do down there?
Just vacation, family, whatever. Disney World, the usual things, of course.
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went from one Disney city to another.
Yeah,
moving from Orlando to LA. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. What do you remember about like early child, like 3, 4, 5 years old, growing up in Florida, family, fun?
Yeah, I had
preschool, anything.
I had 2 older sisters, and they were bullies, and it was great.
It was great that they were bullies?
Yeah, it was fine. It was one
Did
of
they bully you or other people?
Oh, they bullied me.
How was that great?
It kind of, psychological warfare is healthy at a young age, I feel. Yeah, it teaches you to handle people when you're older.
Did you think this was great at the time, or you realized later in life, like, oh, I'm glad that I...
No, it was awful. It was awful.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it was awful until, until like college. And then I was like, oh.
How much older are they?
My oldest sister is 4 years older, and then I have a middle sister. I'm the youngest, and she's 3 years older.
And they bullied you up until you went to college?
No, they
not
moved.
The same way.
They moved. Yeah. They stopped after a while. One time, God, it's so bad. It's not a good lesson to learn. One time, I think my sister was teasing me about something, and I was so mad at her. I like ran down the hallway and I jump kicked her. I didn't like hit her too hard, but I like it was not good. But I do remember, like in retrospect, that was when they stopped bullying me.
Yeah,
was when I was like,
how old were you then?
You. God, I was probably like 9, you know, and she was like 13 and awful.
Well, you're the underdog in that fight, you know.
Yeah,
Even as the guy, you're younger and smaller when you're that young, you know.
Yeah,
9-year-old.
I was probably like 80 pounds. Like I don't know. So
I'm
small.
picturing that running down the hall doing like a martial arts drop kick, wrestling kind of thing.
No, it was fine, but no, they did things like spent all day ignoring me and stuff like that.
Real psychological stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Not like, it's not just teasing and kicking, punching.
Yeah. No,
stuff.
It was,
They would like mess with your mind.
Yeah, it was fine. It's like any younger kid that like tries to hang out with their older siblings.
Right.
They're like, nah, you're not cool or anything like that. And then when they got older, they had like girlfriends and stuff like that come over and for sleepovers and stuff, and I like learned like through that like they don't want their little brother hanging around because we would hang out and play and like be each other's friends, and then like when they had like friends over, they were like, dude, F, like fuck off.
We don't know who you are.
yeah they
Act
no,
like
I
you don't
love
know us.
Yeah, I love them. I love them to death. I saw my oldest sister over the holidays, and she has like a nephew that's like 2 years old, and I'd fucking kill anybody for that kid. So
nice.
Yeah.
So everyone gets along.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I bet that's good. What did you do for fun? Like when you were elementary school, young kid. What were you? An active kid, smart kid, athletic kid?
No, I wasn't.
Nerdy kid. Who were you?
I wasn't athletic. I played baseball for a little while, and then the kids. I didn't like the kids that played baseball.
Yeah,
like it just wasn't like a fun like group of kids to hang out with.
Were they all very serious because it's like a Florida baseball? A lot of like
some of them
high quality players come out of there, so you get serious at an early age, I imagine.
Yeah, there was one kid who like had like a batting cage in his backyard in his house with a pitching machine.
I always wanted one,
dude.
I played, but I was not an amazing player, but I wanted to be good.
Yeah,
I wanted to be.
And I was pretty good. I was pretty decent.
Yeah,
but what is it? When you play like just like Little League, they randomize the teams and all that stuff. And they always stuck me in the outfield. I really liked second base as a kid. I just liked the position. And they stuck me in the outfield because I was the only one on the team that would like run for a ball. Yeah. Like, dude, I remember this one time, like the ball went straight to center field. And I think this kid named like John Hoover or something like that just looked at it. And I'm just like.
And this is how old?
I played baseball from, God, I think it was like, I was like probably 5-year-old, played t-ball.
Yeah.
And I played until I was like 10 or 11.
Okay. When did John Hoover not run for the ball? Was that at 5 or was it 11?
Dude, it was like an 11-year-old kid.
Yeah. Come on, bro.
Like, dude, yeah.
11-year-old. You know what the hell's going on.
You have a glove. Use it.
His parents forced him to play and he doesn't want to.
I don't know.
I'm guessing that's what's going on. Or he's having a bad day.
I don't know. I don't know.
Paying attention.
I have no idea what even happened to the kid.
Yeah, I'm getting him on next week.
John Hoover.
Get him on here.
Yeah, he's talking about how he doesn't give a shit about baseball.
Yeah. I'm going to look up every John Hoover on Facebook and Instagram later.
I did that, and then I quit baseball, and that was a thing we did on Saturday mornings. And my parents were like I think there was like a few months where I just like watched Saturday morning cartoons and like, lived the best life. And then they're like, you got to do something else with your time. And then my parents, we were doing like a family bowling league at the time. And then so I got into like bowling as a kid.
Were you on a team with your family and competing against other families?
Yeah.
That sounds interesting, amazing. I don't know. There's something there. I bet there's stories that I didn't.
Yeah, I was there for the chicken tenders.
Honest man.
Yeah, but no, that's fun. And then I started a league with like a youth league on Saturdays, and I got into bowling hardcore for a while.
What's a while?
Through high school, I bowled.
So like adolescence through high school, you used to.
Yeah. So probably like, I don't know, let's just say 7 years, I guess. But it was fun.
You ever bowl a perfect game?
No, I didn't. No.
What's the closest you got?
I think I shot like a 256 one time.
Which is like, that's like almost a perfect game because you missed like one or two non-strikes. It drops quickly.
Yeah, yeah. I've had a few friends bowl perfect games and stuff like that, and I was always jealous of them.
Yeah.
But they also like worked their asses off, and I would show up once a week on Saturday and just hope for the best. So like they would like go in on Sundays and like bowl like 4 or 5 games and do different oil patterns and all that stuff.
Did you ever watch? Did you follow professional bowling? Did you know the professional bowlers? Did you watch any of that stuff? It used to be on like ESPN too.
Yeah,
all that.
Yeah, it was on Sundays. Yeah, the PBA Bowling League or something like that. I don't know. No, I didn't care. It was just a hobby.
Did you play fantasy bowling?
Yeah.
Was there fantasy bowling?
No, that'd be so stupid.
No, I know you're supposed to say awesome. I didn't think you were going to say stupid. I thought you were going to say that would be amazing.
No, bowling's lame. Let's face it. Yeah, it's like a fun game and stuff like that. But so I kind of like I bowled through high school, but I picked up other things just because like my identity couldn't be bowling.
Right.
Like for like I wanted to like bully myself. Like it was just interesting because I played tuba freshman year at high school. So I was a tuba player
and a bowler
and I was fat.
Yeah.
So I might as well put a target on my back.
But you did you enjoy the bowling even though like part of you sounds like maybe like you didn't want your identity to be this, you didn't think it was cool or whatever, but did you actually enjoy it or you were kind of getting burned out on it?
Yeah, it was like getting burnt out. Like I never would have practiced or anything like that. I didn't practice tuba either. I wasn't passionate about bowling. You know, it was just like a thing that.
What were you? You weren't. You were just you were finding yourself.
I had no passions for.
You had
a
no
while,
passion. Yeah, I was going to ask you. Like you sound like you were kind of an indoorsy kind of kid watching TV. Like besides cartoons, were you watching movies, favorite TV shows, anything like that?
Dude, I play lots of video games.
Yeah.
Did you ever play RuneScape?
What's up?
RuneScape? Did you ever?
No,
play
I mean
it?
I'm a fucking dinosaur. I played Nintendo 8-bit, fucking NES. I tapped out after like fucking Super Nintendo, Genesis. Once the controllers got too many buttons, I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah, I love the Nintendo 64 and like GameCube, PlayStation 2 and stuff like that. No, I was a big gamer and stuff like that. And then
were you competitive or did you like play people online or anything like that? Like,
there was like one game called Star Wars Battlefront 2 and you could Jedi fight people. And I remember I played it the first night I got it, I played it through the night. And that was the first time I like stayed up all night too.
Yeah.
So like I mean it was fun too. But yeah, I think going through high school, I didn't have much going on at all.
You're an honest. I like the honesty. Yeah, I love this honesty. Like, yeah.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? I'm like 13. You know, and I'm just like
people are like, oh, I was in this club, I was in that club. Even if it's like, people say, oh, it's just for the credits or for resume or just to keep busy. People tell me things. You're like, no, I didn't have anything on. Did you ever think like video games could be like a career path or anything like that? Because it seemed like you're passionate about that, like graphic design or story design or anything like that.
What is it? We got digital cable, I remember, in something like 2004 or 2005 or something like that. And it was big because there was a channel called G4 and I kind
of remember that.
It was just for video games. Yeah. And so there was a show called X-Play and what it was God, I don't remember the journalist names, but they was just a host, like they hosted. Their job was to play video games and write a review of it. And I thought like, oh, that's the best job ever.
Tester, like a tester reviewer.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember like for a couple of weeks, I was like, that's what I'm going to be. And then like, then we had to like write essays in high school. And I was like, I hate writing. Yeah. So, but I like it now. But I thought I was going to do that. And then, no, in high school, I was just a science nerd. I liked math a little bit.
You were a good student?
I was a good student, yeah. But that's the thing, though. It's like I was like kind of good at everything, but didn't really care about it at like nothing. Like I cared about nothing.
Yeah, you were good at stuff, but not really knowing what your passions were.
Right. Yeah, because I went into college, and I was planning on being an eye doctor. I wanted to be an optometrist for a very long time.
Where did that come from?
No idea. No idea. I had a optometrist. His name is Dr. Aker in Titusville, Florida. He has a bang up operation. It is great. But he was like super nice.
You just like this guy personally. You're like, I want to be like him.
He's nice. I enjoyed the process. Like it was like, you go in, you get your glasses, and I learned that like, oh, I could never be a doctor. I don't like surgery,
Right.
and I don't like, giving like I wouldn't have to like want to stick my finger up some old guy's ass and check his prostate.
Probably not.
Dude, that's not my dream.
Yeah.
But then I remember like learning that an optometrist, like he can like they can diagnose you like for, astigmatism and glaucoma and stuff like that. But if you need surgery, there's
Go
an
somewhere
eye
else.
surgeon.
Yeah, you go somewhere else,
So
yeah.
it's like they're pretty much like diagnosing you, giving you glasses.
You need a finger in your ass, you go to someone else.
Yeah, you can work 4 days a week,
Right.
if you wanted to, and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's fun.
Should we change careers and pursue this? Because I feel like you're selling me and maybe
Dude.
yourself again on
Dude,
this.
yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
would still like if I was any actually good at science, like I would probably.
People would be calling us doctor right now. How awesome would that be?
Dude, please do not. Yeah, it's hard to think about how like, oh, I could have graduated medical school now if I wanted to.
How many comedians are also doctors? Ken Jeong, is he the only one? I think isn't he a doctor, or he was a doctor?
Yeah, he's like a medical MD doctor.
He's the only one.
I think he's the only
Just
one.
the only comedian / doctor we know. Were you into comedy or like TV and movies beyond, besides video games when you were in middle school, high school growing up?
Yeah, what is it? I watched SpongeBob a lot as a kid. I couldn't watch The Simpsons. Like every comedian says they love The Simpsons as a kid, but I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Because of adult content or something like that? Or
My mom said Bart Simpson was very disrespectful.
yeah, well, I'm his character.
Yeah.
Did you come from a religious household or anything like that?
Not really. I was raised Methodist, which is the most. Do you know anything about Methodism?
No, not really.
Dude, it's so chill. Like it is like I hate to say it, but like if you're atheist and you marry someone who's Christian, like be Methodist because it's the most least involved. Like
Yeah.
if you show up on Christmas Eve and on Easter, they're thrilled.
Yeah, low maintenance.
They're
I
like,
like that.
oh, thank God.
I'm going to be a
you're here."
Methodist eye doctor before the end of this interview.
Yeah. It's like you can pray anywhere. It's kind of like they're because like a lot of my family members are Catholic, and like my mom grew up in a very religious household, and so I think when they got older. My mom kind of stepped away from it. My cousins and my aunts and uncles, like they're into it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But and my dad is like, he was a hippie, I'm pretty sure. 'Cause like he reads books on like transcendental meditation and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And, I don't know if he's done peyote. I just assume he's done peyote. And he's talks about energies a lot and all that jazz.
That's an interesting background you have there with your mom's religious side and your dad's sort of new agey spiritual side, it sounds like.
Yeah, so I was atheist immediately. I remember like once Santa Claus, like the bubble burst on Santa Claus, I was like, nothing's real. But I just being a science nerd and stuff like that. And then because I saw the extremes of religion through my cousins, I was very turned off to religion at a young age.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like a lot of people are that way now.
Yeah, that's what it seems. It seems like a lot. I mean, maybe in LA, like people like organized religion and people who take it to not necessarily even a fanatical level, just too far to the point where it's, you're not living a. I guess normal life is not the right word, but just too strict. Too strict for based on arbitrary things that were written 5,000 years ago that may not be relevant.
And I don't knock on religion.
Right.
I think there's, it's just like to me, it's a core of like belief structures and systems. And I think it's healthy for a lot of people. I think a lot of people resonate with it. And I think that's cool. But like also my grandmother is like in a cult, I'm pretty sure, and doesn't know it. Like she's one of those like Christians who like celebrate Jewish holidays
Just
and
to be
stuff
safe.
like that. Just to be safe.
Like Ned Flanders
Yeah.
kept kosher just to be safe on The Simpsons.
Yeah, my grandmother's in the same cult as Kanye West. So, but yeah, so that's why I was turned off to it. But I think, it's totally fine. I remember me and a girl broke up though, because I wasn't religious and she was. And so that's just kind of my extent to it. I wouldn't be someone who marries someone and acts Methodist.
Yeah. Was it because you weren't religious or because you wouldn't go to church, or is it kind of a little bit of both?
I don't like authority.
You're in the right place then. You're sitting in the right chair with me then. I'm not a big fan of fan of that either.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not earned or
right.
or it's being abused.
Yeah, especially like being abused. Yeah, I remember my dad was turned off to religion because a church scammed him out of a lot of money. Like it wasn't the church like scammed him; it was someone from the church scammed him. And yeah, it's also like a lot of like I guess with a lot of like at Methodism, since it's so chill, they're not like, don't do this or you'll burn in hell like the way that like Catholicism is. Like Methodists, where they're just like, be nice, be chill, pray to God, do your thing. You got pizza on Sundays, And so I remember just being like, yeah, I can be nice. I don't need someone to tell me that. So, I don't resonate with it personally, but yeah, that was something I like never like. I remember praying as a kid, but I always remember thinking to myself like it's a just to be safe kind of deal.
Yeah,
just in case someone is listening.
I think that's kind of how I am. Maybe even always. Maybe even more so now. It's like just you never know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I swear to God,
I ask for things from the universe.
Oh yeah,
I'm like can you maybe come on universe, give me this. I put a lot out there. Help me out. If you have time, I know there's, think God's got to deal with fucking disasters and people with illnesses, and it's a long list of people asking for prayers, but
Yeah, dude.
Come on, Jesus.
You
Buddha, Muhammad, Moses.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that's a very like tempered way to look at it, and I think that's what it is. Like I'm atheist, but I'm very centralist on religion. I think there's good and bad parts of it.
Sure. Like everything in life.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. It's also so lame to like not have an opinion though. So I'm just like, no, I am atheist.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm agnostic, so I'm lame. No opinion.
Dude, no worries, man.
I'm afraid of commitment.
I think I was agnostic for a while and I got super depressed and I was just like, fuck it.
Yeah. I'm probably I'm more like a believing, leaning agnostic, just to play it safe.
Dude, yeah, and I feel
like it's like it's almost like not to get too deep into all this stuff, but it's like I think you have to live for something bigger than yourself. Whether that's your partner, whether that's your kids, whether that's God, whether that's family, just something bigger than yourself. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
No, for sure. And I think I realized in college after smoking copious amounts of weed that I really liked people, other people, all my values came from my parents, and like the reason I do things it's very selfish, but I like doing things for other people and stuff like that.
I mean, that's what you hear all these stories about. Even like it makes me think of like professional athletes. This guy won a championship. This guy won 6 championships. But then when all these athletes retire and you hear them talk when they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, whether they won championships or lost, they all talk about the same things. Oh, I miss the guys. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the people. Mm-hmm. It's all about the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So what about college? You were a tuba playing, video game playing bowler, and you were going to become an eye doctor heading into college. Was the thought?
Yeah, and then my first year, like I said, smoked copious amounts of weed
at Florida State.
No,
I went Florida State.
No,
it's fair to me to assume that based on all the people that I've met from Florida who've gone to Florida State University.
Yeah, dude, So it's funny mentioning Scoopty Boopties. If you haven't listened to any of the episodes featuring Scoopty Boopties, they're the group from Florida State, and I'm from a group that's from UCF, Central Florida.
You're a rival.
Yeah, no, FSU's better, but UCF was it's in Orlando. It's a really cool city. And then I took a class that was about how to get into medical school. It was like a class where you studied all the different medical colleges. Pre-med. Yeah, it's like teaching you how to get into medical school. Yeah. And I thought that was just I was like, this is too much for me. I can't, because I don't like someone putting a gun over my head and saying if you don't have a 3.7 GPA, you're not going to have a career. Right. Or something like that. And I just couldn't deal with that pressure. And I was also taking biology and is getting to the point where it's oh, I'm not good at this. Yeah. And I don't care enough to do this for 8 years. I remember I was still a pre-med major and I got an email from my campus, the SGA Association, saying have you ever wanted try stand-up comedy.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
This was from, you were a pre-med student, and you got an email from, who was it saying that?
The Student Government Association. It was just a mass email.
Okay, it wasn't specifically to you.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that'd be creepy.
Yeah. That's funny, though. I thought, you know what I thought? I thought, we noticed that your grades and pursuing medical school are not most amazing, but
Hey,
some of the answers to your questions on these tests are quite comical.
Hey, we noticed you got a C in chemistry. Do you want to try anything else?
Yeah, I thought that's where you're going. Okay, you saw this email.
Yeah, it was a place called Wackadoos on campus, and it was like a bar that served fries. And I signed up, and I did it. I ordered a thing of fries because I was like, I was like, oh, you got to support the bar. So I got a thing of fries. I was so nervous. I had one French fry and then was sick to my stomach. So I went up.
You had material prepared?
I had like a story.
You had a story. You're going to tell a story
about like Disney World. I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
Because I trashed it. Because I went up and like the mic was too far from my face. And I started talking. And then like someone said something like, we can't hear you. Or something like that. And that was the first time I like looked at the audience looking back at me. And I was shell shocked. I was so terrified, and this was like 45 seconds in. So like it just went south very quickly, and then I think I had like another like 30-second story, and I was like, okay, thank you, I'm done. And then I got off stage. I left my thing of fries. I remember meeting a guy named Devonte, super nice dude. I was like, Devonte, you can have my fries. And then he's like, thanks, because he had a good set. He didn't care. And then that was first time I did stand up. And then I changed majors shortly after that. And I was good at economics in school. Like it was just the right amount of like math, but not too much math, and a lot of like sociological kind of like theories and kind of human behavior stuff. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So I switched to that. And then, that was pretty much it. I quit stand up for a long time.
Did you do it more than that one time?
I did it once, and then I quit for a year.
Is that really quitting if you only do it once? Is it just trying something once?
Yes, because I remember said I'm gonna do this again.
Oh, I
at
see.
Some point.
You did plan to do it, and then you kind of like never.
I remember like telling myself like I need to go back to the drawing board, because like in high school I listened to stand up and all that stuff.
You were interested in stand up a little bit at the time.
Oh, absolutely. I was always fascinated with stand up. But that year in particular, I listened to Anthony Jeselnik's album Shakespeare, and Daniel Tosh's Make Happy, and Nick Swartzen's Seriously Who Farted. Those three albums. I listened to those three on repeat for like an entire year, and trying to like figure out how to write jokes. And I was like renting out books for my public library, like not public library, like the campus library. And
you were trying to solve it like it's a math problem.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I was like, how do I do this? How do I figure this out?
Which there is some that will get you, I'm guessing, so far, but a lot, has to come from you, of course. I
mean, that's still kind of the way I approach it. It's less about, because there's like joke math and joke structure,
sure,
like, joke efficiency and stuff like that. But what I like about stand up is watching someone new, and they have a style that is like, you don't know how it's formulated, because like people want to act like it's like off the cuff, and they're just naturally, and some people are naturally funny, but like when it comes to material, like it's very crafted, it's very well thought out. So I've always wanted to like try to figure out how certain people do certain things.
Yeah, and the great ones and the good ones make it feel like it's being told off the cuff, and it's being told to the first time to you and whatnot.
Yeah. So I was into stand up as a kid, and instead of like TV, I'd watch SpongeBob. But on Friday nights, every Friday night, I watched Friday Night Stand Up on Comedy Central. And did you ever watch those?
Oh, yeah. People have talked about Comedy Central stand-up shows and where you're sitting.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part. Like that, Comedy Central doing Friday night stand-up plus YouTube is the reason there was such a comedy boom, like for sure.
Yeah, because you have access to more comedians. It was either HBO specials of this world's Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock and George Carlin, big stars, or you don't really get as much.
Right. And who has HBO?
Yeah.
Like we had digital cable and that was luxury.
Yeah.
We still didn't have an HBO package.
You got to go to Blockbuster Video to rent Eddie Murphy Raw or whatever.
Yeah, and as a 12-year-old kid, I shouldn't be listening to Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, if your mom didn't like Bart Simpson, she probably was not going to be a fan of Eddie Murphy's stand-up from the 80s.
Not Eddie Murphy, but my parents loved Bill Cosby, which is
how things have changed.
Yeah, we don't talk about it anymore. But they also really liked like Robin Williams.
Yeah,
like they like
stand-up.
They like stand-up. They like raunchy comedy. They like it. They think it's funny, but they just didn't want their kid to watch it.
Yeah.
So, but by the way, since I wasn't allowed to watch Simpsons, South Park was on at 11. My parents went to bed at 9:30, so I just stayed up late and watched South Park.
Yeah, there's
instead.
been plenty of stories of people sitting where you're sitting telling me that they watched things that their parents did not know that they were watching, that they shouldn't have been watching, that they were influenced by, and the rest is history.
Yeah, it's like if my parents let me watch Simpsons, I wouldn't have had to. I would have eventually watched South Park, but I was watching South Park when I was like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah,
which is too early to watch South Park.
Maybe.
I feel like it's like 1 or 2 years too early.
Yeah, maybe. It's like, because there's some things you just won't get, but maybe you're not even supposed to be exposed to them at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also like, I watched Simpsons like in my 20s and I'm not caught up. But I do remember watching an episode where I'm like, I don't even care I wasn't allowed to watch this as a kid because I'm not going to get Ronald Reagan jokes.
Yeah.
So I think it's not too big of a deal. But yeah, so Friday night stand-ups, I watched that, and then I watched same thing as Max was saying on his podcast. Max Castillo, listen to that episode. Scroll down on whatever platform you're on.
Look at this guy.
Check that out.
My manager, my
While
agent.
you're at it, why don't you check out Max Hoxford?
Look at this guy.
Adam's got all the great comics that are named Max. Yeah.
More Maxes to come.
But Max Castillo said Killing 'Em Softly was like a big album for him.
Of course, the Dave Chappelle album.
Yeah. And
special.
I think like a lot of people like influenced me because that was the first time I remember watching it. I remember where I was. It's on the ground in the living room. I remember crying, laughing, and I remember thinking like, this is like magic. Like I don't know how he does it.
He's a great storyteller. Great storyteller. I just think of him and his white friend Chip in the car being pulled over by the cops, and and he's all nervous that because they're smoking weed that the cops are going to arrest him, and Chip's like, all calm as the white guy, smoking the joint, rolls down the window, smoke comes out. Excuse me, officer, we're a little lost because we're high. Can you help us out with some directions?
Jeez, yeah, dude, that story, and then also, hilarious. Dude, the story on that album about the kid selling drugs on the corner of the street.
Hey, baby!
Yeah.
He was afraid of the baby.
That was
in the hood.
Dude, one of my favorite jokes of all time. So that inspired me because I couldn't figure it out why. I later figured it out. So I'm just like totally disenfranchised with Dave Chappelle now. But, he's that album in particular kind of got my brain turning as to like, how do they do it? How does it work? So,
yeah. But he's not your favorite. Daniel Tosh is your favorite? Or one of them? It's hard to name a favorite.
Dude, yeah, it's so hard to name a favorite. Definitely in high school, he was my favorite.
Daniel Tosh.
He's from Titusville, Florida. He went to the rival high school in town, Astronaut High School. I went to THS Titusville.
He's a little
High School.
older than you, though.
Yeah. He came up probably like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
Before, I don't know. But he also started in Orlando, the same city I was in. But I remember listening to him, and the reason why he inspired me the most was because when I turned 18, my sister got me a gift to go see Daniel Tosh live at UCF. He was performing in the arena. And he did this one joke about how like he went on this rant about how like what I do up here, no one can do what I do up here. You think you can do this, but you can't. I'm a genius, blah, blah, blah. And like it was
sort of fucking around, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
some truth in it, I'm sure.
Some truth.
Not
also,
everyone could do it.
Yeah. But in a crowd that big, there's probably like 4 or 5 people who can do it.
Yeah,
but I remember thinking to myself, like, dude, you're some kid from Titusville, Florida. Like, I can do this.
Right.
And I think like a week or 2 later, I got a book and started writing. So
that's awesome. No, I think it helps to see someone from your hometown doing like something that you're interested in, or your friend doing it, just to see, you know, if they can do it, why not me? It doesn't seem so impossible, doesn't seem so foreign, doesn't seem so distant, you know. And
yeah, I mean, or just going to an open mic and watching someone just like eat shit for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that inspires you.
At first, because I was really scared after I bombed, I quit. And then before I got back into it, I wanted to check out because it's like Orlando, it's like a city. So they had open mics and stuff. Sure. So I went and watched, and I saw Preacher Lawson go up, and he was already good, which is fantastic. He's such a good comedian. And I remember watching him. I'm like, oh man, that guy is so good. I would love to like try to be like that and like try to be like him, which I can't do for the record, because Preacher's Preacher and I'm me. But he would go up, crush, and then like 6 comics after him just eat total shit. And like they're saying the worst things. They're not funny. They're not getting laughs. I just remember thinking to myself, like, the time when I bombed, I was like, well,
you're not alone.
Yeah. It's also, I didn't bomb as hard as they did, you know?
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's like a part of like when you watch someone go up and do it poorly, you're like, I can do it at least a little bit better than that.
Right. It's not always good to dwell on the negative, but I don't know, seeing people fail and seeing people that you're better than, it helps. It doesn't. It can help a little bit,
especially when you're starting. Like, yeah. Do you stand up?
I do not.
You don't?
I took one class at the Workaholics house. You know that?
Oh yeah.
Where they film the show and they do like some backyard shows and classes there. I did like one weekday or weekend afternoon class there. It was fun.
Yeah.
But I enjoy watching y'all more.
Oh yeah, you don't want to learn?
Seeing a lot of stand-up comedians makes me realize that I don't want to be a stand-up comedian. I think it's more that it's too hard. Like you talk about how some of the classes and subject matter you took in high school, college just got too hard. You didn't love it enough to want to do it. Like that's kind of where, like, in some ways I'm like that. I'm not willing to dedicate the time and the years and the hours to get good at it. But I love it. I do enjoy it from as a fan.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And the only reason I still do it is just because I'm so hooked on it now. Like when I quit for a long time, I started going to those open mics. I would like drag my roommate to go with me.
This was in college still.
In college, I was 20 at the time, and we would go to the mics, and I would drag my roommate there. I would bomb. And then I'd have to drag my roommate back home, and I was just like really sad and quiet. Sure. And he'd just be like, "Oh, that was really good, man. I thought you were funny." I'm just like, "Thanks, man."
Was he being nice or being serious or a little bit of
he
both?
was. I think he was being nice.
Yeah.
I think he was kind of like reassuring me. It's like, "Hey, you didn't do good, but you didn't do terrible."
Yeah,
He
probably was saying like, I see a little bit. Keep going. Mm-hmm. You stink, but you should keep going.
Yeah, and I did, and I would go like sporadically, but then I went to a mic called Natura Coffee and Tea, and that was right next to campus, and it was insane because it was a mixed arts open mic. It was musicians, poets, and stand up, and they gave everyone 10 minutes.
Wow.
So you're either listening to 10 minutes of music, which flies by and is wonderful.
If it's good, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. You can talk over it and it's not too rude.
Yeah.
Poetry, where it's like very intense, like poems about like people's worst traumas for 10 minutes. And then they're like, hey, you want to try stand-up comedy for the first time? And then also do it for 10 minutes. So I remember going up there doing a quote-unquote 10-minute set. It was not.
There's no open mics in Los Angeles where you're going to get 10 minutes, are there?
No. I think you have to like pay for them.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But I knew I couldn't do 10 minutes because I'm just like, I wasn't stupid. So I would go up to the host before and be like, hey, I want you to know I'm going to probably do like 3 or 4 minutes, because he would go outside and smoke and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm not going to do long. So like, be ready to like come get me.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do remember doing like a 4.5, 5 minute set, and everything worked for the first time. And I remember kind of looking out in the audience for the first time and like like seeing joy, you know what I mean? And like feeling, because it was a total juxtaposition from the first time I looked at the audience and like was struck with fear. And then I looked at the audience that time when it was going well, and I was like so stoked and like so happy. And I remember thinking to myself on stage, I'm just like, oh yeah, this forever. So
it can be an addictive feeling from what I gather. How many times had you done stand up in between that first time you bombed and first time you did it to this point where you
like actually it clicked? Or
it
clicked once.
The first time it clicked
and then I never bombed since. I think it was like 5 times.
Okay.
Yeah, so it took a little while.
It sounds like you never really were like even looked at the audience. It sounds like you looked at the audience once during your first set and then looked at them again during that other successful set. And like you had a hard time with the eye contact from the audience. Because even though your set sounded like it did well in this particular show, you were yourself fully engaged as a performer, even though your jokes were working.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how it went down?
Yeah, and because I was listening to like Anthony Jeselnik and Daniel Tosh like on repeat, the jokes I wrote were pretty much like Anthony Jeselnik. Like,
yeah, which is funny to me because you seem like not like those guys in a sense. Those guys seem like, I don't know them personally, but they're a little bit more sarcastic, a little bit more biting.
Right.
You're a fucking nice guy over there. You're not
I know.
Anthony. You're not dark like Anthony Jeselnik. Or,
I know. And that's, dude, I completely agree. And people, when I first started, all the other comics in this scene gave me so much crap about being a Jeselnik wannabe, a Tosh wannabe, and people who've never seen me before. It's like he's like, oh yeah, it's like Daniel Tosh and Jeselnik, and I'm just like, fuck.
But that's kind of a compliment, actually, in a way. That you know that at least you were able to be compared or at least conjure up like actual successful comedians, even if you were at the time maybe being a little bit too much of an attempted carbon copy, so
right? Yeah, and too much of a prick on stage. Too.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Those guys have like a
they're assholes. Yeah, I mean, Jeselnik for sure. And then,
but I mean, again, I don't know them personally. They may not be like that off stage at all. And they're probably not like that off stage.
Most likely not.
Yeah,
no. But yeah, I so you say I don't do that anymore, and that's because a friend of mine, Tommy O'Neill, came up to me. It was at Natura. I think I bombed or something like that, most likely. And I was like kind of like frustrated and like going through it in my head. And he comes up to me and goes, like you shouldn't do that on stage because you're not like that off stage. And that kind of like got in my head for a really long time about like, who am I?
Right.
What do I want to do on stage, and how do I kind of like merge those two ideas? So I still have an issue with that.
Yeah, it's funny because I see tons of comedians, and some of them you can really get a sense like this is that person. That's who they are. Mm-hmm. That's who they are off stage. That's who they are on stage. Maybe they're not. They're telling girlfriend jokes. Maybe they're single now, but that's basically who the person is. And then you see like someone almost become like a character, and they're a completely different person off stage. But at the same time, that character still, I think, if it's done well and it comes across as authentic, it still has like a part of like the actual person in there. It's like a heightened version or like an alter ego kind of sense. Whereas what you're talking about, like trying to be like Daniel Tosh or Anthony Jeselnik, it's like that's not really who you are, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's kind of like acting. I think you're saying like the idea of like having a character and like it's still a piece of you. I think that's kind of like acting, where it's just like you kind of have to find your truth in what you're saying,
right?
And if you can't do it, don't say it. So I think you've seen me recently, and I'm very manic on stage. Like I'm very like kind of like a caged monkey, like very like kind of like manic and all over the place.
But you seem very, very comfortable up there. I don't know. I don't know if you feel that way, but you look very comfortable up there for sure. And like,
it's all a lie.
I can't tell.
Yeah. Well, I think it's I've gotten so comfortable being stressed is what it is. But we're talking about looking at the crowd and stuff like that. But I'm very rarely looking at the crowd. I learned a trick to look above the crowd. I went through a phase where I literally was doing comedy with my eyes closed and stuff like that, or I'll like look down, and if I look at someone, I'm like looking kind of like past them.
Right.
You know, I'm not trying to, because for a while, it's like I remember thinking about the idea of like looking at the crowd and connecting with them and stuff like that. And that just wasn't working for me. Like I can't deliver jokes while making eye contact.
You think that's something that will come more? I mean, I guess it's not even totally necessary, especially if let's say you're playing in a fucking huge ass theater. That's not going to matter as much. But do you think that's something you'll get better at, or even want to get better at? Is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure because sometimes I'll be looking at someone
be funny.
in the crowd. I'm like, hey, this is working. And other times we'll be like, hey, stop looking at them in the crowd. Like it's really dependent on the night.
Right.
Like it's kind of one of those things you have to read the room as to like what they want. Because sometimes people like it when you look at them in the eye and connect with them. And other times people are like turned off. And I totally understand that.
What do you mean turned off? They're uncomfortable?
Yeah. Like
They look away?
sometimes like comedians rely on like the crowd too much. You know, like if I don't like sitting, like real comedians don't sit in the front row. If you're a comedian, you sit in the front row and it's by choice. I'm sorry. Like get over yourself. Like you're not a real comedian.
You're talking about like just a comedian at like a show?
Yeah.
When a comedian sits in the front row?
Dude, yeah.
Why is that? I mean, I don't like to sit in the front row because I don't want to be part of the show.
Right. They
That's
don't
why
want to be
I
a part
don't
of
sit
the
in the front.
show.
But why is it bad for a comedian to sit in the front row?
I don't know. I feel like
By choice.
Me personally, it's like there's nothing worse than a comedian looking at you and waiting for your response, like
Right.
at a show.
What if you don't know that they're a comedian? Then that's okay.
I guess it's okay, but yeah, I mean, like I feel like comedians in general kind of like won't respond to everything just because
They don't laugh as much.
Right, exactly.
As I've been told, and I've kind of seen it a little bit, and I think maybe I've seen that more at people who host their own shows, or when you're hosting. I guess I understand why you're not going to laugh as much at your own show, because you got a lot on your mind. You're keeping time. You're producing. You're you're working on a lot of different things, so you can't be as much fully engaged. But it is a phenomenon that there does seem to be some truth in that. Yeah, that comedians don't laugh as much, and that's not the case for everyone. I've seen been to shows where comedians are fucking loud, laughing at each other, being the loudest people in the room.
For sure, and I think it's not a secret. It's just like it's like a magician watching magic.
Right.
When a magician does a magic trick in front of another magician, the magician's either
You're not in the moment.
They're not in the moment. They're trying to figure it out, or they are in the moment and they see exactly what you're doing. And you know what I mean? So it's not a surprise at all. Like I had this joke about like a woman was sitting in the front row. This is my Daniel Tosh and Jeselnik phase. So
right.
I don't tell this joke anymore. The woman was sitting in the front row. She kept talking the whole time. And I said, why don't you shut up, slut? And, the crowd didn't laugh that night. And I learned a lesson in comedy, and that's to not let my mom sit in the front row. and to me now, every time someone has a joke where it's like, and that was my mom or something like that, it's just like, boo. And I got so much shit for that joke too. I kind
of like that joke.
It's like a good
I think it's good.
It'd crush at a club. It's good for people who don't watch stand up, but like for people who do watch a lot of stand up, they can see that coming a mile away. And
so what?
Yeah, I mean, fuck them. But also,
it's not. I don't think it's a hacky joke. I think it's well done.
It's a fine joke.
Use that next time.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't personally resonate with it anymore.
Yeah, that's that. I get that. I get that. So what about like the second half and towards the end of college and ending up in LA? How did that journey all kind of come together, and where do we go from there as you start to dive back into stand up? And it sounds like try to put your true self more into it is kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So once the Natura set happened and I had a good time, I really got hooked. Started going around doing this club called Drunken Monkey, doing this club called Stardust. They're not clubs. They're coffee shops. Yeah. Both of them. But this dude...
Comedy clubs at coffee shops.
Yes, exactly. But they had really good comedy nights. Drunken Monkey's still going on Fridays in Orlando. But a guy named Ross Martin was doing them, and he was doing mics like 4 nights a week. So like he was hosting them, like running 4 mics a week. So I would go to those. I was totally hooked. I was starting to meet people in the scene, and then met Ryan O'Toole at Natura, and
he's also from that part of
Yeah, he's from
Central Florida.
he's from Tampa, but we met in Orlando, and me and him just kind of clicked. We both liked each other's comedy. We both saw each other a lot. We were just kind of like instant friends. And then he started doing. He was already doing improv at the time, but he started doing an improv club at UCF called the Improv Academy TIA, and he hosted an improv workshop for stand-ups. So he taught the stand-ups in this scene how to do improv. And so started doing that.
This is all, you guys are at UCF together?
Yeah, all at UCF.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Started doing that. Started like hosting shows at UCF. We started hosting shows at Wackadoos. We hosted shows with the SGA and stuff like that. So we kind of just like, doing an improv club. I wasn't running the improv club, but doing so much. I started flunking in college, like for sure. Once I started improv, I started flunking. And
you were still studying to be an I?
No, I was an economics major.
Oh, that's right, economics. Yeah, that's right.
Totally,
at this point, yeah.
Totally fine. It's they're both bullshit. But yeah, so I met my best group of friends in that club. Tommy Bowe, Cody Schmidt, Alex Bear. They're all kind of like sporadic out here. Ryan O'Toole, a lot of other people too. But Cody moved out to LA. Ryan dropped out of school. They moved out to LA.
The dominoes started falling. I see where we're going.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm going to finish. I'm pretty close. So I went ahead and finished.
You graduated. You passed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, barely, but I did.
There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, dude. We got out. But yeah, so I graduated, and then this summer, I got a phone call from Cody, and he was house sitting a cat. Or he was like cat sitting
in
for
LA?
a house. Yeah. And so he was gone for the month, and he said, come through, and I'll give you a low rent rate. And then, so I did. I just took the opportunity. I left, and that was like 3.5 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And things are going good.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah,
you're
it's
performing
tough.
all over. Yeah, but you're doing it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good time.
You're living the dream.
Yeah, yeah. I've been fired a lot since being out here, so that's fun.
From what kind of jobs? Your day job, a lot of day job type things.
When I first was out here, I was scooping ice cream, and I low key miss it. But I was doing that, and I was a production assistant for this YouTube channel called Smosh, and that's because a producer over there was the person who invented TIA and like brought it to UCF. His name's Alex Haluk.
Invented what?
TIA, the Improv Academy. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry about that. Yeah. So he made the improv club. He's a producer, and Ryan was also a production assistant, and I would take extra gigs and stuff like that. Long story short, I was a PA for a year while scooping ice cream, and I got hired full time as a content manager, is what it's called, which is a very fancy term for uploading videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then started doing analytics for the YouTube channels. Like I would
track viewers and all that.
Track views, exactly. Yeah. And so I got into that. And then we all got fired at this company called Defy Media. We all got fired at once. It was like 100 people got fired because like money was just gone.
Laid off, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, laid off implies lots of things. We didn't get anything. It was like,
I see.
It was canned. Canned's a great word.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah. But yeah,
You're out of work.
It was fun. We got the news on like a Tuesday. And we got our checks, and we looted the office. Like actually, like other production assistants were unscrewing TVs.
Are you supposed to be telling me this?
I don't care. Yeah. Well, it was just one of those nights that was just like, well, the bank is going to come and collect whatever they got. Nothing was really properly inventoried, and no one's there to like. The company's not there. So like who's going to press charges? Right. So I watched one of my bosses pour a whole bottle of champagne on the carpet.
Wow.
Yeah. We partied like until 3 a.m.
Oh, you're talking about like, like just celebrating whatever. He didn't literally just like pour it on the carpet in an act of vengeance. It was more like just kind of like drunken and celebrating and just.
Yeah.
Craziness.
I think it was both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
An act of,
It was so much
vandalism,
fun.
almost in a sense.
Oh yeah, vandalism's a very accurate word.
Property destruction.
Yeah,
this sounds like an awesome night.
It was.
I wish I was there.
Oh, dude, it was like straight from a movie. Yeah. One of those things that like so many people there film. nerds and stuff like that, because it's like media and stuff like that. And so there was at least 2 or 3 people who were like, we gotta write a script about this. We gotta write a script about this.
Was there a particular reason beyond just being laid off where everyone seemed like maybe angry or whatever it was, like to lash out? Like people get laid off at the time, they don't necessarily destroy the office and get wasted. Was it there something in particular about this company that inspired this like party, for lack of a better word?
Define Media was like this. It's called like an MCN, multi-channel network. I don't know if you know anything about.
I think I've
YouTube.
heard of them.
Yeah, they're
I've seen
huge.
them post job listings. And I think I've seen them.
Yeah, they owned Screen Junkies, they owned Clever, and they owned Smosh and like 30 other channels and stuff like that. But they treated some of them like it's like they sold the company. And the company imposed a lot of creative stuff like that. So it's like getting dropped from it's like you go corporate, you're mad that you went corporate, then you get fired by corporate.
Yeah.
So then it's just like, all right, let's trash it.
I see. These weren't even your real bosses or the people you had worked with for such a long time.
Right. So it's like I had bosses and it was like our boss's boss's boss. Like
were the people who were firing you. So it's like fuck them.
Yeah. It was like, there's such a chain of command that we weren't even close to the top. So
yeah.
Like,
so fuck it.
Fuck it, dude. It was a great
Awesome.
time. Yeah. So then I got hired at another job doing similar stuff, and I was recently let go from there. And I'm over it. So
I hear you.
Yeah, dude.
Just keep working.
Yeah, I'm gonna go scoop ice cream again. So.
Scoop ice cream and do stand up. LA's such a weird town. One day you'll be scooping ice cream, the next day you got a Netflix special. It's kind of
it's kind of
the
stupid.
nature of the beast.
Yeah, dude, I love LA. Kind of like when I first got here, I did an open mic, and it was like it was okay. Some people were good, some people weren't. Just like every open mic, but there was one comic in particular, and they went up, totally bombed. And then I went to a show I heard about the next night, and it was like a bar, like a bar that you had to like walk through like a sneaky hallway, and it was like really hip and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The same comic went up, totally murdered, same exact material, word for word. Like even the punctuation was the same, like delivery was the exact same, absolutely murdered. And I remember thinking to myself like, oh, okay, so like the distance between bombing and like quote unquote making it, which is not a good like for lack of a better term,
crushing, doing well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like right next to each other, and that made me feel really good.
It's weird because like I hear comedians say, you know what, I don't want to make excuses, I don't want to blame the audience. A comedian should never blame the audience if a set doesn't go well. But based on the story you're telling me, the audience can be like a huge factor. If they're there, if they're attentive and they want to laugh and they're nice and they're not hecklers, like that can make a show go well for a comedian. But if they're not, and you have to win them over, that's more challenging. But where do you stand on that? Do you ever like finish a show that doesn't go well and be like, that audience wasn't good, I thought I did well, or is it more like the opposite, and you kind of don't make excuses? Not that you make excuses. But where do you kind of stand on that, the audience factor?
I think I temper my expectations based on the audience.
Right.
So like,
before you get up there, kind of the vibe of the room.
I don't like going up first just because like I just want to like when you're doing when you're golfing, you can do a thing called a scramble, and you pretty much 4 people play. Then you play the best ball, and you just keep playing the best ball. Whoever hits it best, that's the ball you play.
Yeah.
And when you get on the green, someone putts first, and it's like you get to see how the green lies.
Right. Yeah.
And then so like you always put your best person like third or something like that. So because then they get to see how the green works. So like in comedy, it's the same way where it's like, what's the green like tonight? And so
Makes sense.
So then that way it's like, if no one's laughing at all, I'm just like, okay, just like 1 or 2 laughs. Like that's all I need.
Smart. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then there's nothing worse than like watching a show where like everyone's just like murder. And you go up and you're like, that to me, that's even more stressful. Like
I believe it.
Good shows make me more stressed out than bad shows, just because like, not even bad shows, a horrible thing to say, but like if you're
I know what you
watching
mean.
people crush,
It's pressure.
then it's like, oh, I have to crush.
Yeah.
Or I'm not good at this.
Right. And I'm sure there's been nights where you've been surrounded in a lineup with comedians who are all doing well, and you are one of the ones who do well. Mm-hmm. Does that feeling, that must be a great feeling, perhaps even more so than other feelings, because you feel like you're part of the funny community.
The echelon.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I couldn't find the word.
Dude, that's echelon's a stupid word.
That's a good word.
No, yeah. What is it? You saw me the 1 year anniversary of Scoopty Boopties.
It was 2 year anniversary?
2 year anniversary. You're right.
I don't even
know.
It
was 2 years, dude. I just don't want to think about how long I've been in this city, just because it's hard to get traction here. But yeah, it was the 2 year anniversary, but the lineup was so good. It was so incredible. And I was nervous about it all day. I was very off-putting before I went up. Like, I was very nervous just because I knew, one, that show's amazing. If no one's been to Scoopty Boopties listening to this, find it on Instagram and go. It's an amazing show. Great crowd. And then the list in particular was incredible that night. And I just remember like thinking like, God, don't blow it. I think I went up first. I went up first that night too. I was first. I was up after Max. Max did a good job. Thank God. I love it when a host knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes up. I do my thing. It went pretty well. And then
I recall.
Yeah, dude. I was like, I was pleased, but I was like relieved. Where I'm just like, oh, thank God, because I was thinking about that show like a month ahead of time. Just like because that's how good that show is and how much.
It's funny because I don't see any of this like, I know this goes on and comedians have, neuroticisms and insecurities and nervousness and all this, but I don't really, I don't always see it like at the show, the day of the shows. I'm always like hesitant to like talk to someone hesitant to talk to comedians before the show, before their sets, Oh, yeah. If they have their pads out, I'm, definitely going to not bother people if I see them in the zone,
Was it? I'm usually just not really receptive. Like I'm not rude or anything like that, but I just don't hold conversation.
What do you think about before you go on stage? Is it your set? Or?
It is absolutely my set. Yeah. It's like, usually it's like my first 4 jokes. Yeah. Because I do a million jokes in 6 minutes.
Yeah. You're thinking about material. You're not you're not thinking about like just relaxation or anything, just techniques or anything. Yeah. You're just thinking about what am I going to say up there and how am I going to say it, and let's do it.
So I think about, sometimes it's joke order. I'm like, what is this crowd like? Like, how do I order the jokes? Like, what's the right flow?
God, I'm so glad I'm never getting into this.
This is so much fun to me.
Yeah, I know.
I love it because when it works, it's just like, oh, I'm so fucking smart, which is totally not the way I look at it, but
clever.
It just helps when it pays off. You're like, oh, I kind of know what I'm doing, because I really don't. But think about the order, and then I always like all day I'm just like, you fucking suck at stand up. You're gonna bomb. Like, fuck you. Like, I'm totally like very negative, and then I give myself the comic before me to be like, you're the funniest person in this room. Like,
you what?
I tell myself like, you are the funniest person in this room.
Right before you go.
Yeah, like whoever, like Max was up, and so when Max was doing his set, I wasn't listening too much because in my head I was just like, you're the funniest person here. No one wants you to bomb. Go fucking crush
You're
it.
a fucking nut,
dude. It is
so funny. You're either I hate myself and I'm not funny. I'm not good at this. I'm nervous. Then right before you go on, funniest person here. I'm the best.
Yeah. I think
what a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's waiting to do stand up for me is like waiting to go on a roller coaster. I believe it, dude. It's so nerve-wracking.
It's funny you say the roller coaster because I haven't done too much performing in my life, but I've done some music. I play guitar a little bit at open mics, and I'm nervous before I go up the few times I've done it, and then when I'm on the stage and performing, it's kind of fine.
Yeah,
and then when it's over, I'm like, I want to keep going. I want to. Yeah. It was like the same feeling of like not wanting to go on a roller coaster, being nervous, going on it, enjoying it, and being like, it ended so fast. I want to go again. Yeah, like that kind of thing,
dude. And sometimes like the waiting for it is scarier than the thing itself.
Oh, almost always, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, something about it. So I only give myself 5 minutes to hype myself up, because if I just walk around life all the time being like I'm the funniest person in the room, I'll never work. you know?
Maybe you can find that balance between telling yourself you're the funniest person in the world or being terrible at comedy. Maybe you can find the balance in there.
Yeah, I don't know. It works for me right now. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the self-doubt and then the overconfidence to balance it out.
Yeah.
I see your system. I see your system.
Or me and Rhino Tool would joke all the time because sometimes we'll have to do 10-minute sets, which is not long, but it's a different muscle when you don't get to do it all the time out here. So sometimes I'll do 10-minute sets out here and then think to myself all day, how am I going to fill 10 minutes? I only have 3 minutes worth of material, and I don't even like some of that, And so I'll be talking with Ryan all day. And then right before the show, it's how am I going to fit all of this in 10 minutes?
You have too much.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. I wish I had a heart rate. If I had a heart rate Fitbit or something like that, I would love to see how it goes up and down.
Maybe it's time for your dad to teach you some of that transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
He won't tell you his mantra. I know you're not supposed to share your mantra.
Oh yeah.
With the transcendental.
You just give me some peyote.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that will work.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I definitely appreciate you stopping by. It's been a lot of fun,
dude. Thank you.
You
man.
got more,
dude.
For sure. You got more shows coming up. Anything you want to plug? Why don't you tell people where they can find you, what you're working on? The floor is yours.
First of all, thank you for having me.
Of course,
you're a very lovely man.
I try.
I have nothing going on, just like high school.
High school all over again.
Yeah. No. Come check out Group Shower. It's every second and fourth Thursday at the Clubhouse. Fantastic venue, fantastic people.
That show you host?
It's not a show I host anymore. Producing's not for me, really. It's like a marathon I can't run. But Rhino Tool runs it, and so do a lot of people from Orlando that I love. Thank you for letting me indulge in my ego.
Oh, of course. And how can people find you on the social media?
Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Sean Hyatt _sucks. By the way, if I listen back to this podcast, I'm going to just think to myself, man, I am not a healthy person. I'm very...
You're not the least unhealthy person that I've interviewed. I'll tell you that
thank
much.
God. Yeah.
No, you're good.
So my Twitter handle is Sean Hyatt Sucks. There's an underscore in between Hyatt and Sucks. And I just want to explain that's because I came out here, didn't have a Twitter, did a show at Flappers, and they sent me an email saying send us your Twitter handle and we'll put it up. And I just thought it'd be funny to put a Twitter handle, come out and see Sean Hyatt Sucks.
Yeah. People will remember that.
Yeah. And it's been my Twitter handle since. Just follow me there.
What about Instagram? Anything like that?
I'm not hot, so there's really no point in following me on Instagram.
I got you.
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter, but it's at Sean Hyatt, I think, on Instagram. Super easy. But it's really just me being really hungover and selfies.
That's fun. Again, that will make other people possibly feel better about themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For sure. Well, again, I appreciate your time. Thanks for dropping by the studio. Look forward to more comedy, and I'm sure I'll see you again perform real soon.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks again. I appreciate the time. So there you have it. My conversation with Sean Hyatt. Yo, that dude keeps it real. I really appreciate him taking the time. Maybe there's a way Sean can combine scooping ice cream and stand-up comedy into one thing, and then he'd really be living his dream. That would be cool. Anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.